Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rebel Chums channel. Today I want to cover something a little bit interesting that was sparked recently on one of the biggest Facebook groups in terms of custom sabers, and that is this post we're looking at now. It has been closed already by the admins. This is it was a complaint regarding a certain person that does custom saber installation in the community. He is very well known for his friendliness and overall just openness and heart for the hobby in terms of custom sabers and the installations. And of course I'm talking here about Jordan Moll. Now this is a post that was done around 17 hours ago by a person, and it had over 230 replies, and it's a really mixed conversation. Some people, they praise whatever Jordan Moll has been doing for them, and some people have been hating on it. And what I'm talking about here, if you don't know yet, there was this person that had a commission with Jordan. And basically, let me just go over here. The reason why I'm showing this post is not to lash out to Jordan or to Paul in particular. I just want to point out something regarding commissions and custom sabers, and why I feel that they're in the right mind from both parties where they're coming from. So this was a commission for Paul Snyder. That supposedly would be done by Jordan Moll. Well, I drink a sip of my tea. So there was a commission to do a full install on the Yoda MR saber. So basically a conversion of a Force FX saber. That was done, requested in January 2017, and there was set a baseline or deadline for that project to be completed on June 2017 by Jordan Moll, in terms of he's doing the commission, right? Now, during the period of the high peak of TFA, the release of the movie, and the end of the movie, where we now have this more quiet moment building up towards The Last Jedi, there were a lot of inquiries to do conversions of Force FX kits, and you have to think about the Hasbro Black Series kits, the Kylo Ren lightsaber, the Yoda lightsaber, etc. And so he was one of those people that wanted to have that commission. Jordan agreed with that, and then he basically, it started already in January 2017. Person A did a full payment, so he paid like a few $100 US for that conversion process, including the parts, etc. And so I can understand from this point of view already, like when you paying $400, $500, $700 US upfront, and I know from that perspective how that feels. It's a little bit scary in the first time. I did it with Vader's Vault, and then I had to wait, and I'm not talking about recently. I talked about the area in 2015-16, where the average waiting list was between 6 to 8 months, 33 weeks average, and it was scary, you know. I paid like $400, $500 US for a Vader's Vault lightsaber, and you don't hear anything for months on end, and it's a scary thing if there's no communication. And even Vader's Vault was lashed on that. There was a little bit of poor communication at times, and it has to do with several factors I'm trying to get back to in a moment. But so this person paid for his commission in 2017 in January, and it's now October. This person 17 hours ago made this whole post about the entire experience that he had with Jordan Moll in terms of the custom saber installation commission. So it has been 10 months, and the commission has not even started yet. And it's supposed to be completed in June already, so that's around 3 months ago. So there's a lot of things that are basically having a twofold. there's people on the side of Jordan Moll saying, okay, this guy's just very busy, has a personal life, he need to take care of his family, there was a typhoon, he moved from an apartment, and of course that is absolutely true. There's a lot of things going on in personal life. First and foremost, some people might have bought a second-hand lightsaber from me, and sometimes I don't ship it out on time. It takes a week extra, 2 weeks extra than I expected or say to. And I don't do it on purpose, but it's really hard at times in real life to get things done on time. I have a full-time job. When I'm home, it's already too late to put something on the post. When I'm working, I have 1 hour of lunchtime. I have to be fast. My bosses are looking at the clock if I'm not on time. They literally do that. So I just have 1 hour of lunchtime, and I made agreement with this person I would ship it out this saber on that day, and I cannot make it to that commitment, and I really feel shit about it because I have to wait till the weekend, till the Saturday, or I have to find another time, take a half day off a week later or something, and that happens quite a bit of times with me, and I'm really sorry for any of the viewers watching that bought a lightsaber from me. That happened in the past with you. I'm really sorry for that. It's just too much stuff going on in private life, at work. I just don't have the time to do it. So that makes me always a little bit refraining from doing the second-hand lightsaber buying selling, because it's just a little bit of a hassle from my personal life perspective. So I understand there are delays, and fully understand it, especially as a father. When you're home, you're tired, your child want to play with you, you need to do homework, you need to do whatever they want. Kids are very demanding, and you need to spend time with them because you love them, and you don't want to let them feel left out. So I totally understand that. And then you have your weekends, and then you're basically numb from all the work week you had. Your kid want to play with you. Your wife have all kinds of obligations for you to meet. So you need to clean the house, whatever. All that stuff still needs to happen, right? So all that stuff comes in life, and that makes it really hard to combine a hobby business on the side at times. Now, on the other side, of course, as a person that's spending $500-600 they approach it from a perspective that, hey, Jordan is taking a commission from me. He does it for this and this amount of a labor fee, maybe $200 to $300 for the whole commission, including the parts. I don't know. And so okay, I agree with that. Jordan is not doing it one-off or once in a while, right? He's doing it on a very high volume, so it is a business. He approaches it as a second business beside his full-time job. So and that is something that we need to establish as well. It's not just a hobby anymore for him, it's an actual business, right? I see it from that point of view as well. So what happens is that person pays a lot of money, they set an expectation when something comes in, and then once that deadline is over, the communication isn't on par. And I've noticed that with Vader's Vault, with Saber Forge, with other companies, sometimes it's really lacking. And I understand two camps. I know where it comes from. I know it's very busy, personal life, etc. On the other hand, it's a business. You agreed something to a mutual agree, maybe per mouth, per writing, per email, whatever. So you have an agreement from both sides, and including myself, I'm guilty from that. I make an agreement to ship a saber out that somebody bought of me, and I don't do it for another week because I just didn't find the time to do it, and I really feel shit about it. And the same with Jordan, and the same with Vader's Vault team. They will feel shit about it. It's not on purpose. But the thing is, if it takes 3, 4, 5 months beyond the deadline, that is something then there's an issue. There's a problem. Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks is shit. I really totally agree with it, because I've been on the other side as well. I paid some money to somebody and I didn't get it for another 2, 4, 5 weeks, and I know how horrible that feels. But of course in this case it's really long. So what happened is here, there's a massive influx of people want to have a custom saber commission. They go to the well-known names out there. They go to a Shamim, they go to a Jordan Moll, they go to some of the other guys, and those guys want to take the commissions because they love the hobby, they love the community, they love they love lightsabers, they love playing, tinkering with it, and basically they take up maybe at times more than they can do, but because they're so kind-hearted that they say, okay, sure, put it on the pile, I will find a way to manage that. And what often happens is when the real life stuff kicks in as well, that is just not possible. So it's not about, for example, in this case, Jordan not wanting to do that. It's just he took too much hay on his stack. It's just he took too much work, not deliberately. He just so kind-hearted that he really wants to help everybody out and give them an awesome product back. But at the same time, he gives himself a very hard time by taking so much pressure and so much burden on him by taking so many commissions, that he basically doesn't have the time and the balance anymore to find the ways to figure it out. So from the standpoint of him, in this case Jordan Moll, to be late with his commissions, I can fully understand it from his point of view. He has, I believe, 2 kids. He has a wife. He just moved his house. He have probably a very tough job as an engineer. Don't underestimate that by the slightest bit. That must be a very tough job. And so he works hard. He works in the evenings, in the weekends. It's a job. It's a hobby that's really fun, but at the same time it's a job because you're non-stop busy with it. But there are some things that I noticed in this post here, and that is something else. Suddenly there are several voices coming up. Not only Peter, in this case this person Paul, but also several other people started to complain and say, yeah, well, I received my product, it was faulty, it was shoddy done. And I think that has more to do, not that Jordan is capable of doing top quality, it's just he needs to balance out all that work he has. So what are you going to look at? So like how much time you're going to spend on this installation and in that installation. So it's really hard to balance that, right? You have so many installations at the same time, maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 people in a batch waiting for their commission, and you need to push forward. In the meanwhile, you took money from other people because you wanted to help them, and you had this nice conversation, and well, you say, okay, let's take that up to the commission pool, and I'm gonna take care of that for you as well. But that is really the kindness of him doing that. On the other hand, it's also giving the expectation to the customer. Okay, I gave you $500. You said June, you better have it done in June because $500 of freak load of money for me. And even Jordan will understand it, of course. But in this case, I would say it's a really difficult situation, and it's not applying to Jordan. This is something much broader. This is something by saber companies and by installers, and then you have to think about the Shamim and other installers. They just running overtime because there's so many people getting into the hobby, want to have a commission or conversion, and there's just too much stuff. And Jordan already recently saw this coming, so that's why he did recently a video about this and say, okay, I'm gonna stop doing these conversions and selectively choose what we're gonna do as an installation or configuration. You can send me a message, and if it's something interesting, I will take it up. Because he already felt like he started to become overburdened. He maybe already had some other people complaining to him, etc. So he already felt it coming. So it's unfortunate that it's being done openly on the forums. Of course, you want to give everybody the respect, etc., to do it in private, but that is actually something that Paul did in this case. He did try to reach out to Jordan several times. He didn't get a reply, and that's also something Jordan actually said. He said, yeah, I don't reply too often, or maybe his wife will reply or something like that. I understood. So the communication wasn't there for what the volume of customers he had and the commissions he needed to work on. So that is something that I also experienced. I got a lot of questions from my YouTube channel or from the Facebook groups, people asking me all kinds of stuff, and often I don't have the time to sit down and really talk to these people for a long time, because I also have my son at home want to play with me. Have my wife. I need to clean the house. I need to whatever I need to do. And then also, of course, I'm full time at work, so I only have one lunch hour like everybody else, and that's it. And that is where I can take my time from. So most of the time I actually have are the weekends, and then it's mostly the evenings like this. Nothing else. That's just parenthooding. That is just busy full-time working life. And if you're doing a lot of commissions then as well, that is extra hard because you have a second job. It's a second burden on your shoulders. You need to obligate to. So I totally understand it. I think maybe in this case, Jordan just have to take a good break and then get back to high quality commissions again. He's a top-notch guy, so don't knock him. I just think he took way too much work on his shoulders. I think that also might have some effect on the quality of installations, because that's what I see back in the comments. And it's just a human thing. Like Jordan and Paul, they're humans. They have their feelings, they have their expectations, and at times it's really hard to align that. And I don't think there was any intent from any respect. I also do believe, and that is maybe a little bit wrong to say, but I do believe that people like a Shamim, a Jordan, they're well known in the community. They're in the higher range of their fees for installations, etc. They might charge a little bit beyond average, on top of the average commission prices, because they're well known, etc., and everybody want to have a commission from them. So that's why also the expectations are higher, because their customers paying more than usual for an installation. And if it's not top notch, they will complain about it. So if it's not a top notch installation, they will complain about it. I think that's also have to do with it. I think maybe he needs to maybe reassess his fees and realign that to the work that he actually can churn out, and what kind of quality that is in relation to the time he can spend on it, and then have like a more balanced ratio in cost and output. Shamim also chimed in here. One thing that I was interested about Shamim's reply, and you guys can check it out, it's now on the Facebook group, the Vault, a custom lightsaber community. You can find this whole treat and go through it. So this is not particular again about Jordan, Moll and Paul, but it's just in general any type of commission or custom saber commission that I have from a custom saber company. It's gonna take time, guys. It's just gonna take time. So I've been through it myself. It's gonna take the 7 months. It's gonna take the 10 months. It's just like how it is. It's just, I know these guys having their own business, and I understand that it's also not acceptable at the same time. It is not acceptable if you take it as a business and you take $500 from somebody and you set a deadline. You need to take it professional. You need to do it from a professional level. Don't if you're gonna take people's money and you're gonna make money from that as a second business or a second income, do it professional, like your daytime job. You have to treat it like your daytime job. It wouldn't be acceptable if you do it at your company, at your current job as well. So that is definitely something that's totally true. One thing I wanted to go back on, something that Shamim said, which I found a little bit iffy, to be honest, and it was something not related to Jordan at all. He totally supports Jordan, and he's very well spoken about what he said. Even Gianna went into it, and she said, well, we at Vader's Vault also experienced the kind of issues. Sometimes we just working longer than expected on something, but that's where the communication is really important. And as I said before, sometimes the communication, even with Vader's Vault or Saber Force or whatever, isn't that great, and you're not entirely sure what's going on. Now, there was this reply here from Shamim regarding Ultra Sabers, and he lashed out to Ultra Sabers, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I find the way he lashed out to Ultra Sabers is true, absolutely true. But again, he disregards anything that is from Saberforge, because he is of course the admin on the Saberforge Custom Sabers Facebook group. Plus he is still good friends with Phil Isherwood and gets like freebies or very high discounted stuff from Saberforge, so he won't say anything bad about Saberforge. And that is a little bit what bothers me about Shamim with his 18,000 followers on YouTube. Yes, I'm jealous at the same time, but on the other hand, I think he's very influential. What he says is being listened to by many people, and if he's not fully transparent, I feel that is kind of annoying. He might even have... is this post gone? He might have even removed that whole post. No, I don't think he would do that. Let me see. He lashed out to Alto Sabers for having stolen the sound fonts from Nova Star, I believe Nova, and that's absolutely true because that actually happened. But Saberforge at the same time have done equal horrible stuff or more, and he was not mentioning anything about that. Very typical, of course. That is actually gone. That is weird. Well, I made screenshots of it on my Facebook, on my phone. I might have to grab that at some point, because nowadays one thing I've learned with the Facebook groups: make screenshots of everything. People will delete their posts or comments at any given time at their convenience, and I think it's not there. Why would he? I think I'm getting silly here and just say stuff that is not true. I don't think he actually deleted it, but I cannot find it anywhere. That is kind of strange though. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, so there was like a whole bunch of people complaining about Jordan Moll. So I was like a little bit surprised when I heard all the complaints from different people, including some people that I know personally, that are on the Facebook groups that I consider very trustworthy. So I thought, wow, okay, that's kind of interesting to hear that kind of feedback from those guys. And I don't know why they have been quiet for so long. Maybe because Jordan Moll is such a positive and popular person in the custom saber industry, that people are well known by him, and he knows everybody, and that they're not like, I don't want to lash out against Jordan because he's so loved by many people. But there's here a whole bunch of people, as you can see, that has some sort of issues with them, with Jordan's commissions. So interesting, actually. I cannot find that post from Shamim anymore, where he made a remark about Emery from Ultra Sabers and stealing the sound fonts from Nova. That is strange, though. Well, I have it. I still have it. So it's not that interesting, probably for you guys. But I felt like he is not transparent enough for such a figure that is out there and well known, and people. He's very influential. He's an admin on the Saberforge Facebook group, etc. So again, I feel like that whole Saberforge Ultra Sabers clash thing that's going on is basically feed by people. And I again, maybe it's unconsciously, but he lashed out against the Ultra Sabers, the owner for Ultra Sabers, for doing bad stuff, but at the same time you won't say the bad stuff from Saberforge, and then you have this pro camp of Saberforge against Ultra Sabers. Nonetheless, he still do commissions for Ultra Sabers, so he still does that, but he was vocal about the Ultra Sabers owner and stealing stuff, which is absolutely true. And that is a very sad story, where one of the sound font makers just had all his stuff ripped by Ultra Sabers. Really bad stuff, like absolutely garbage. But it seems like he actually removed that whole or somebody else removed the post, and then the comments that Shmeen made are also removed. Now, anyway, what I wanted to come to conclusion with this whole video is that in this case it's a combination of overestimation, too high of expectations, too much of anticipation, and a lot of money involved. So $500 is not cheap. It's not a little bit of money. It's a lot of money, and it's just wrong. That's just wrong. Okay, I know there's a lot of personal stuff going on, but if you're gonna take all this kind of money from people and you making one saber a day, you basically having a second business, and you need to treat it as a business. You need to be professional with it, and if you don't have time, then you just have to cut down immediately as soon as you hit those thresholds and say, okay, stop, take a step back. I cannot take more commissions. My personal life is taking too much effort. There's too much things going on. I just cannot do it. Don't keep taking commissions. Cannot do that. Any sabersmith out there, just take what you can handle. And some people make very good remarks. Some people say, well, you need to be very good with your scheduling. Schedule time frames. Schedule dates. This is when I'm gonna do what. Make sure you have all the parts. You can do it on that day. Complete the commission. Make the video if you want. Send it out. Also, one thing that I think was happened here was Jordan still made all kinds of commission videos and reviewed them, but didn't answer that person's chat, etc. when he was online on Facebook, etc. So that person rightfully got a bad feeling, like, hey, why is this guy making all these review videos of these new custom saber installations, and why I'm still waiting 10 months? I can understand that. Both sides again. So that is something, unfortunately, a little bit of a saber drama again. It happens quite often. It's just because there's so much money involved. People on the internet are rightfully scared and have trust issues because the internet is a bad place. A lot of bad things happen, so we all know that. So even though some of the people on those big scary internet are very famous in set communities, that doesn't guarantee that people have full faith and trust in getting what they want, even if it takes longer than expected. I think the most important thing is communication, and that's including myself. I lack that. I need to work on that. If I sell a lightsaber, it's unexcusable that I sell it or send it 2 weeks later than the set date. I totally admit that, and I do that wrong. And that is something that is still happening in the custom saber industry because we're still growing. It's all done by individuals. It comes from a hobby. We are not business people. Most of us are not business people. And we finding our ways to how to do it. Like for me, I'm just selling my lightsaber so I can buy a new one, just as a consumer. I don't do custom installations, etc. I try to think about it. I made a video about it, but when I see this kind of stuff, I know for sure I will mess it up. I will mess it up, and just the human factor and the human errors that I have will cause people having delayed installations, and I just don't want to have any of the trouble. Plus, I can see the benefits. It can earn you quite nice salary, a second income. It can be very nice, but I just cannot do it. So, if you're a custom saber installer, you need to be very mindful of your readiness, professional level, and can you do it? And basically, I should say it. You must do it. You must do it. You cannot think you can do it or not. That doesn't matter. If you can think, oh, I can do it, so I take the commission. I think I can handle it. Let me fix it. No, you must do it. It's either you do it or you don't do it. and you need to take it from a very professional level in that case, especially if you do one custom saber installation per day. That means you probably churn out like 150 200 lightsabers a year. Then you're definitely not a hobbyist anymore. You're doing that as a side job, and you need to be very professional in what you do. And on the other hand, I know the struggles of being a full-time father, the only person that has an income. My wife is a housewife, so I know how it feels, and it's really tough. And if you don't have kids or you don't have a full-time job, you perceive that differently, and it's really tough at times. So I fully understand from everybody's perspective. I hope this video gave you a little bit more insight what my thoughts about it was. And again, it's not so much about the individual persons. I took this more as an example on your expectations as a custom installer versus the customer, and vice versa. When you want to have a custom installation by a custom saber installer, how you can both agree on an approach that will work and be fair and be straightforward, and set the boundaries, set expectations, make sure the communication is there, and everybody's happy. So hope you liked that video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next videos. Take care.